My ex-husband's new fiancée is demanding me to finally drop his last name before they get married, but I've built my whole life and career around this name. My 39F ex-husband, 38M, has been dating this new woman for 3 years. For context, she is 24 years old. My ex and I were married for 12 years and have been divorced for 5 years. We have 3 kids together who are now teenagers. My ex and I got divorced because we were young when we met and got married, and we grew apart as people. It was a mutual decision, and we agreed our kids came first and have always co-parented very well. This has been the case up until last year when his girlfriend moved in with him. Previously we would do holidays and the kids' birthdays together, but now when she is present they won't even sit near me at our kids' sporting events. I have always been nice to this woman, despite my kids expressing they do not like her and they feel their dad acts differently when she is around. My ex told me early on she wasn't a fan of me and felt I intimidated her. When I asked him for examples of how I intimidated her, he said it's my face, that I have a resting bitch face and it makes her uncomfortable. My ex and her got engaged over Christmas and my kids were less than thrilled, my daughter especially. She feels her dad made a major life decision without even talking to them about it first. My ex called me yesterday saying he is giving me a heads up that I have a year to change my last name back to my maiden name, as his fiancée is expressing her distaste and concern for me still having his last name, and that her and I will have the same last name to the same man when they get married. I told him we agreed in our divorce that I could keep his last name until I felt the need to change it, and that is what is listed in our paperwork. I also told him I don't want to have a different last name than our kids. He said I'm being unreasonable and said I'm refusing to see how this would make his fiancée uncomfortable. I told him I can't see it from her side because I am a grown-up, and not an immature child like she is. He told me I could ask anyone about this situation and everyone would agree with her. Am I the a-hole for refusing to change my last name to make her happy? Update. To clarify, the reason my ex-husband gave me a year to change my last name back to my maiden name is because he and his new fiancée are getting married sometime next year, and they wanted my name changed prior to their wedding. Anyway, my ex called me yesterday and said he had done a lot of research on ex-wives keeping their ex-husband's last name after a divorce. He stated he didn't realize how common this is, especially when there are children from the marriage. He also said this had been my last name for 17 years, my entire adult life has been with this last name, and I have built a career with it. He basically acknowledged that every reason I had to keep it was legitimate. He apologized for the way he initially approached me about changing my last name, and explained he is in a bad spot trying to make his fiancée happy. He also explained she feels that by me keeping his last name must mean I'm still in love with him, and this is my secret way of assuring we end up together again someday. I told him that he can obviously see that this is just an insecurity of hers and how this was not the case for me, nor will it ever be the case. Yes, I care deeply about him because I was married to him for 12 years, and because he is and always will be the father of my children, and I want him to be happy in life. However, I fell out of love with him many years ago and that will not change. I'm not in some immature competition to get him back and steal him away from her. After our reassuring conversation about the whole thing, he informed his fiancée that I won't be changing my last name indefinitely, and he listed the many reasons why I'm valid, and that he will not bring this up to me again and there's no compromise for it. He said to her that if she didn't like it and it was something she could never get over, then the ball was in her court to decide if she wanted to continue their relationship. Although I was pretty upset about the situation at first, I'm glad my ex was able to understand my side of him, and I'm proud that he was able to stand his ground with her in defense of me, someone he shared many years of his life with.